On this Monday night, fresh face-off. The Conservative leader returns to the House of Commons as Parliament resumes.
We have a Liberal Prime Minister breaking promises, making excuses.
He missed the largest tax cut for 22 million Canadians.
What the Liberals need to pass their budget and the questions about this latest minority government stability. The ups and downs of buying a home.
My house price went like 30 grand up.
Where prices are rising, where they're dropping, and the struggle to break into the market. The art of the deal to keep TikTok in the U.S. The tentative agreement between President Trump and China's government. Plus, he smoked the competition at the Emmys.
This is amazing.
Canadian superstar Seth Rogen's journey from Vancouver to Hollywood powerhouse.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Neetu Garcha.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Canada's MPs are back in the House of Commons as the fall session of Parliament kicked off today. It also marked the first time Prime Minister Mark Carney faced off with Pierre Poilievre in question period after the Conservative leader won back a seat in Parliament this summer. And as the economy and affordability remain a top issue for Canadians and Carney's minority government, there was plenty for party leaders to trade barbs on. Mackenzie Gray has our top story tonight.
I'm looking forward to a collaborative session with Parliament.
Mark Carney's optimistic tone carrying over.
Oral questions, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
To the start of the first fall question period.
In a spirit of good faith, I wonder if he agrees that our goal should be a Canada where hard work is rewarded, where food and homes are affordable, where streets are safe, where borders are solid, and where we're all united under a proud flag.
I'm sure I speak for all parliamentarians in welcoming the member for Battle River Crowfoot back to the House of Commons.
A reference to Pierre Poilievre's first day back in Parliament after losing a seat during the election. The Conservative leader needed a by-election in one of Alberta's safest seats to make his way back to Ottawa.
We have a Liberal Prime Minister breaking promises.
The political setback not changing Poilievre's pitbull approach.
When will the Prime Minister match the grand promises with the real change Canadians need?
I understand the Leader of the Opposition was busy. He missed the largest tax cut for 22 million Canadians. He missed the cut on the GST for new homes.
Those measures set to be reflected in a budget promised for October, the Liberals' first major parliamentary test. The Prime Minister giving contradictory claims, promising an austerity budget that will also have a substantial deficit.
This is not like, there's no business as usual. This is over. We're rebuilding the nation for generations to come.
To pass a budget or anything else like promised bail reform, the Liberals will need the help of at least one other party, which they hope will be the Conservatives.
Mr. Poilievre has a big decision to make. He can continue with the three-word slogans, or he can sit down and work on real solutions with a Liberal government.
The Bloc had promised a one-year truce on voting against the government to let Carney deal with Donald Trump, but Yves-François Blanchet now less firm on that commitment.
There will be no negotiation, but we want to collaborate. What does that mean? Obey? Become Liberals? Might not happen.
The Liberals could also turn to the floundering NDP, Neetu, needing votes from only 4 of their 7 MPs to make sure the government doesn't fall.
Okay, Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa. Thanks, Mackenzie. Let's bring in our chief political correspondent, David Akin, to pick up on that last point from Mackenzie. The last parliament was also a minority, and it lasted 4 years, an all-time record. David, can we expect the same stability in this parliament?
Well, it's a good question, Neetu. Minorities throughout our history typically last for 18 to 24 months. Now, if the Bloc Québécois wants to bring the Carney government down, they would probably have to act quickly. And that is because we expect a Quebec provincial election within the year. And the Parti Québécois, the PQ, looks like they could win. So, since the BQ and the PQ share the same volunteers, campaign workers, fundraising sources, and so on, the BQ is not going to get in the way of a PQ victory. So the BQ will probably be increasingly unlikely to win a federal election. Then there's the NDP. Just 7 MPs decimated in the last election. They're no longer an official party, which means they have no seats on parliamentary committees, among other things, and that's a big deal on Parliament Hill. And in question period today and in every other QP going forward, they'll have just one question, right at the end of it all. And they won't even have a permanent leader until the spring. They really are just fighting for relevance right now as they rebuild. So highly unlikely that they are in a position to force a federal election for at least a year or more. Now, the Liberals cannot assume the support of the NDP and the BQ. They're still going to have to earn it. But if the Liberals play their cards right, there's a good chance the Carney government could get to the spring of 2027. And that would be 2 years for it to enact a legislative program. And that's about average for the length of a minority parliament. Ethan.
All right, David Aiken in Ottawa. Thanks, David. Affordability is top of mind for many Canadians as they feel the squeeze on basic needs like food and housing. Data released today by the Canadian Real Estate Association shows homes are getting more expensive in most cities across the country. The national average sale price of a home in August was just over $664,000, up 1.8% from a year ago. And more homes are changing hands. The association says it recorded the most home sales for August in 4 years, a jump of nearly 2%. But for many people trying to get into the housing market, it's a tough sell. Heather Yourex-West reports.
But I have seen drastic.
Bridge and Disha Bavsar are new homeowners. It's been just a few months since the couple realized their lifelong dream.
I was lucky to buy it at that point, and right now, like after a few months, it went like pretty high. Like my house price went like 30 grand up.
Originally from Brampton, the Bavsars purchased their new home in Lethbridge, Alberta. Houses in Ontario or even in Calgary, they say, were just priced too high.
The prices are way low in comparison. We could save, we could plan and then buy a home. It was all strategic.
I wouldn't say affordability has improved dramatically, no, unless someone's looking for an apartment style condominium, in which case prices really have come down.
Realtor Tom Albrecht says high home prices continue to keep many new buyers on the sidelines, either taking more time to save or waiting for prices to ease.
I always have a physical set of folders of people who are upcoming purchasers, and that line is longer for me than ever.
And while home prices have come down slightly here in Calgary and in pricier real estate markets like Vancouver and Toronto, Canada's smaller and mid-sized cities are still seeing home prices rise. A home in St. John's, Newfoundland will cost over 13% more than it did last year. Winnipeg home prices have jumped more than 6%, while homes in Trois-Rivières have taken more than a 20% jump.
I don't know how anybody, coming out of high school, after university or anything like that, how they're going to be able to afford a home without being totally house broke.
30s or 40s, because nowadays it's so expensive. I don't know if I'll ever afford to buy a house.
For this group of 20-somethings, home ownership seems like a very distant dream. Heather Yourex-West, Global News, Calgary.
Voters will soon be heading to the polls in Newfoundland and Labrador, where an election was triggered today.
We are on the cusp of finally turning that page.
That's Liberal leader John Hogan speaking at his party's official campaign launch in St. John's. He's seeking his first mandate as Premier after winning the Liberal leadership race in May. Newfoundland and Labrador is a Liberal stronghold. The party has held power in that province for nearly a decade. And now voters will have to decide if they want that to continue or if they want change. Heidi Petrachik reports.
John Hogan brought his wife and his dog on his walk to see the Lieutenant Governor and started the countdown to Newfoundland and Labrador's fixed election date, October 14th.
Very special day for me. I think a great day for the province.
The Liberal leader is vying to keep his title as Premier and the party's hold on power.
I think this election is anyone's to win.
I must now move on.
The road to the ballot box began when then Premier Andrew Furey suddenly resigned in February. A leadership race made Hogan Premier in May.
Your problems are my problems. Your priorities are my priorities.
In times made more anxious by Trump and tariffs and worsened by wildfires, opposing parties will hone in on those problems and priorities.
I'm Tony Wakeham.
PC party leader Tony Wakeham's campaign video pledges to fight, quote, for all, while James Dinn's third-place NDP held its kickoff Sunday, offering to get a better deal. Pitches for economic prosperity voters have heard before.
The cost of living, inflation, homelessness, food insecurity. So those are kind of long-standing things that have everybody on edge. And then more recently, we're adding in kind of bigger issues like the Churchill Falls Accord.
The proposed deal, hailed as historic by Fury, meant to negotiate new terms with Hydro-Quebec. Supporters say it would bring in billions. Critics argue it lacks transparency.
It shapes up to be a kind of really nifty ballot question because they're on different sides of it, which really gives a sense of a stark contrast.
Newfoundland and Labrador struggles under the highest debt per capita of all the provinces, leaving voters to decide which party they feel would be best at transforming the province's rich natural resources into revenue. And that also means they have to determine whether they think sticking with a Liberal government to work with a Liberal Prime Minister would pay off. Nitu.
Heidi Petracek, thanks. Toronto police have arrested and charged a 12-year-old boy and a 20-year-old man after a series of violent attacks and the death of an unhoused man. Police say the death marks the city's 29th homicide this year and that it was one of 5 assaults and robberies in downtown Toronto in the early hours of Sunday, August 31st. All targeted vulnerable people.
They encountered a 62-year-old underhoused male sleeping on a bench. Unprovoked, they began violently beating this male. Again, one of them was armed with a hammer. It is this victim that later succumbed to his injuries.
The 12-year-old boy, whose identity is protected under the Youth Criminal Justice Act, and 20-year-old Isaiah Byers face charges of second-degree murder, robbery, assault with a weapon, and aggravated assault. Any witnesses or drivers with dash cam footage are being asked to contact police. A Montreal mother who abandoned her 3-year-old girl next to a rural road has been declared not criminally responsible. The 34-year-old woman was charged with criminal negligence causing bodily harm and unlawful abandonment of a child. Her 3-year-old daughter was the subject of a frantic search when she was reported missing in Quebec in June. The toddler was found alive 3 days later, 150 kilometers away on the side of a highway in Ontario. According to facts read out in court today, the mother's mental health had deteriorated over a period of several months, and she believed her daughter was possessed. The judge must now determine if the mother should remain in a psychiatric hospital or be released with or without conditions. It seems TikTok is no longer on borrowed time. Coming up, the framework agreement reached to keep the popular app in the U.S. The U.S. and China have reached a framework deal to keep TikTok operating in the United States. The popular social media platform had been banned over national security concerns, but now there seems to be an agreement to turn it over to an American operator. Jackson Prosco reports.
Oh, so you think the dinner party's in?
The deal to keep TikTok ticking in the U.S. came after talks between the Trump administration and China. For now, it's just a framework of an agreement to sell the company from its Chinese owner ByteDance to one or more U.S. investors.
We're not going to talk about the commercial terms of the deal. It's between 2 private parties, but the commercial terms have been agreed upon.
It's widely believed the purchase could be led by billionaire Larry Ellison, among the richest men in the world. Ellison is a supporter of U.S. President Donald Trump, long suggested as Trump's preferred choice to own the app after first trying to purchase it in 2020.
And we'll be looking at the TikTok deal with Larry Ellison and Oracle.
Since his first term in office, Trump has flip-flopped on whether TikTok, with its 135 million U.S. users, should be allowed to stay under Chinese control. He originally pushed for Chinese divestment over national security concerns, only to repeatedly delay implementing a ban passed by Congress after saying the app helped with his re-election.
I mean, selfishly speaking, I did very well on TikTok and I got the youth vote.
On social media, Trump hinted that young people will be very happy with the deal. It will be formalized during a call between Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping Friday, a potential gateway to a much larger trade agreement between the two superpowers that could end the years of wrangling over tariffs, tech, and TikTok. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
Political upheaval ahead, the dramatic move by an MP in the UK. A prominent Conservative MP in the UK has become the first sitting member of Parliament to abandon Britain's centre-right party for Reform UK. The right-wing anti-immigrant party is surging in popularity and has a lead over Labour and the Conservatives, traditionally the big two parties. There is growing political concern in the UK over unauthorised immigration. Thousands of people attended an anti-immigrant march in London over the weekend. Billionaire Elon Musk told demonstrators violence is coming and called for revolutionary government change. Today, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemned those comments, calling them dangerous. Redmond Shannon looks at the widening appeal of the Reform Party and its connection to Canada.
I am now therefore delighted to hand that reform baton over to this man.
Reform Party of Canada founder Preston Manning speaking at the Reform UK convention this month. The man behind Brexit, Nigel Farage, wants to go one better than the Canadian party he says inspired him and take power at Britain's next election. But that is still years away and Reform only has a handful of seats.
But frankly, having led the opinion polls, the only responsible thing that we can do is to prepare.
On Monday, a prominent Conservative defected to Reform, a party that says it's prepared to deport migrants, something the current government is now aiming to do for those who arrive by unauthorised routes.
That's not what it's supposed to be.
No. Working class Romford in East London is the type of place where Reform is making gains, with migration front and centre.
But it's just built and built and built. And it's got to the point now where it's too much. We can't get anything. We can't get a doctor's appointment.
Tony and her partner Graham say they worry about the proportion of immigrants who are young men and the pressure migration puts on housing.
It's all room share now because that's all you can get. That's the only affordable living that people of working class can afford to do.
UK immigration has dropped since its record highs in 2023. About 95% of it is legal. But this year is seeing a record number of irregular migrants arriving on small boats, people the government is obligated to look after.
We don't get no handouts. We don't, like me, I'm self-employed. If I don't work, I don't get paid. Simple as that.
Bill says he likes Farage because he's promising to do what other politicians won't. His friend Terry thinks the Reform deportation plan is easier said than done.
I can't see it happening. He's not going to be able to tell judges what they can and can't do.
Just like on Brexit, many Britons like these feel they have nothing to lose by voting for Farage and his Reform Party. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
Just make sure you keep your winter clear.
Okay, Matt. The studio sweeps the Emmys. Next, the blockbuster careers of the Canadian duo behind it. Cameron Rogers is a world champion again. She set a new Canadian record to win gold in women's hammer throw at the World Athletic Championships in Tokyo. The 26-year-old from Richmond, BC, now has 2 world titles to go along with her gold medal at last year's Paris Olympics. It was a great night at the Emmy Awards for Canadian Seth Rogen. His star-studded series, The Studio, co-produced with longtime collaborator Evan Goldberg, garnered a record 13 Emmys, the most ever won by a comedy. Rogen and Goldberg started out as high school friends. They've since gone on to produce some of Hollywood's biggest shows and movies. Eric Sorensen looks at how these two funny Canadians became a powerful force in the industry.
Seth Rogen, The Studio.
He was called up 3 times for Emmys.
I'm legitimately embarrassed by how happy this makes me. You're a virgin!
Rogen's career is well known.
He was like you.
He was Jewish.
From small parts in movies, kind of a stoner with punchlines.
I am kind of living my vision. Wow, that is sad, I'm telling you.
To being the top executive in The Studio that just won all the Emmys.
To be one of the people that gets to choose, which movies get made and which ones don't.
It's no more a stretch than Rogen's own story. Now a force in Hollywood, writing, producing, directing, and still acting.
People who just think he's this genial pothead from Vancouver are completely underestimating his work ethic. Rogen has turned his personality into not just a marketable brand and celebrity, but also this kind of driving force for production.
But he hasn't done it alone.
Seth Rogen!
Evan Goldberg should have heard his name with Rogen's when they called out the Best Director award.
I think we share this, which is pretty cool. I call the top.
The two have worked together since high school, Point Grey in Vancouver. It's the name of their production company. They made early films together and were asked once about fitting into the Hollywood scene.
We're not very included in the Hollywood scene.
Exactly.
We are physically near the Hollywood scene. But we're homebodies.
We're homebodies.
A friendship that worked in a world that can crush dreams. Only one is on camera and the other's not.
There is something very Canadian in the sort of egalitarian comedy that they have. And Goldberg just doesn't want to act, so he's not the face of it.
In the episode that won the Emmy, Rogen and Goldberg produced what looked like one continuous scene.
There's a certain level of difficulty to long takes.
By the end of each scene, be like, do we 100% have it for sure? Because if we're wrong, we are screwed.
They weren't screwed, they won. And for once, Goldberg could bask in the limelight.
I want to thank my kids, Dusty and Boomer, and my wife, Lisa. I love my wife! Okay, fine.
Even if Rogen was trying to hurry him up. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
Got to express that gratitude. That is Global National for this Monday night. I'm Neetu Garcha. Tonight's Your Canada showcases Sydney, BC, Saskatoon, and Conception Bay, South Newfoundland and Labrador. Keep them coming. Send your pictures of Canadian pride to globalnational@globalnews.ca. Thanks so much for watching and hope you'll join us again tomorrow. Have a great night.